Hello, everybody. Welcome to the very first episode of Live Coffee with the Chamingers. Definitely have people slowly trickle in, but excited to be here. And if you're watching the recording, please, like, share, comment. Let us know what your thoughts are on this episode, this live stream, this interaction with you guys. It's important that we receive feedback so that we can grow, but we also would love for you to join us in the next episode so that we can continue this adventure and have you be part of the community. So right now in the background, we are in the process of brewing some coffee. Something that's very, very important for the Chaminger brand and who we are and what we do. Coffee time. A perfect moment to have to yourself, to self-reflect, to relax, and start the process of becoming exceptional. Perfect opportunity to make sure certain people are watching. If you aren't, when you watch the recording, you guys better. Sorry. So normally during these sessions, come on. A big part of these sessions is going to be having a conversation with the audience, and you should join us for a second. While we just went live while we build up the audience. First of all, hey Stephanie.
Hello.
Long time no see.
Well, cheers to our first official episode of our live stream.
Absolutely. Cheers. What up, Hung? Hung from Washington over here. Gotta have him pop up nice and big. So just so you guys know, Hung is literally like the king of sales, and he was once a long time ago in a galaxy far away my mentee, but the mentee has surpassed the master. So shout out to my boy Hung. The Hung special. Dude, I miss the hot dogs. I miss them.
I heard all about them when we were in Seattle, and I really wanted one. I was very sad that I could never get one.
So let's take this opportunity to just mention, so everyone who's watching maybe the recording later or joins down the road, the Hung Special was in the Seattle Center. There was this hot dog stand. Forget the exact name of it. I'm sure Hung can type it out in the comments, but they made some delicious hot dogs, and it basically became a code word to get a certain style of hot dogs the way Hung enjoyed it, and everyone would just call it the Hung Special. So you just go to this hot dog stand and be like, hey, can I get a Hung Special? And sure enough, they would have it. Actually, my entire family, with a guest appearance of Leon, my entire family, when I took them to Seattle and showed them around downtown, got to experience the Hung Special. So it's a tradition, it's a legacy, it's history. And look who we got here. Hello, Mom. You drinking some coffee today with us? She's like, absolutely. I'm always drinking coffee. Well, as we get more people joining in and tuning in, first of all, thank you for doing so. I know it's the middle of the day, so and it's the first one, so don't expect anything insane. But looking to do this weekly, and more so than anything, an opportunity to have conversation. You guys can ask questions. Uh, if today goes well, would also love perhaps to have a guest join in, even if for a short conversation. Hung, you could be the first one. And you guys can chat as well with us, but ask questions about us. If you have a question about anything in general that you'd want our input, my input, or just to hear a different perspective. But most importantly, looking to just build a community with you guys. And I know I've been extremely busy. You've been extremely busy. So it's sometimes hard to call people, text people. But as things start becoming more, let's just call it calm down, and everything is
Yeah.
second nature and habit, then we could get to a point where it'll be a little easier to have outside conversations and all that stuff. But right now, it's a great opportunity for us to hang out, and it's meant to be relaxed. It's meant to, sometimes when you interact with different people, you have different conversations. And if you're crazy like I am, you can have the same conversation with everyone. A little kid, your dogs. I mean, she sees me talk to the dogs, or your parents and friends. It's all different, but looking to give people that avenue to do so. So, what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I think this is. I heard you in the beginning when you were saying this is the time of day to just sit back, enjoy some coffee, and self-reflect. I think that was a perfect idea because sometimes it's hard for people to find that time to do that, and it may not be in the middle of the day for you, but just when you're sitting down and you have a moment to yourself, just write a few things down, write down some positive affirmations, and just get yourself set up for the day or the week or whatever is ahead of you.
I love that. I love that. Of course, my mom is, shout out to my mom, literally the best cook. She ruined restaurants for me growing up because it's like, well, why do I want to go outside and eat at a restaurant when I could just have significantly better food at home? So my mom is German, but she learned all the Mexican cuisine because she married a Mexican, and she wanted to make my dad happy, and of course us as well. And she perfected it. And if she just made it and served it to random Mexicans, they'd be like, "Who's the Mexican who made this? Like, this is so authentic." And that's something that's so cool. But it also, like, delicious Mexican food, delicious German food, and then a few random specialties here and there. It was just absolutely delicious. So, what are you making? But I think this could be a perfect opportunity to transition into the coffee story. And I know you've heard a little bit about it. It's one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this as a coffee time. And shout out for tomorrow, we will be doing a happy hour as well. That's something that could never leave behind, a few good drinks here and there. But I mean, I told you about the story, right? About the coffee.
Yes.
What was the hardest thing starting Chaminger? Well, I think this is a two-part question. One for you and one for me. Do you want to go first, or you want me to?
You can go first.
You're like, I need to think about it and process it. Well, the hardest thing about starting Chaminger was not, in my opinion, not the logistics, not all the learning that needed to be done, not figuring out the content or the message or all that stuff. None of that part was challenging in compared to this, what I'm about to say. The hardest part was really having the confidence, and I know that's funny because I preach the Chamingers brand, I know what we stand for, right? But having the confidence to take such a risk, especially when there's more people involved now in your life, and you can't just, I mean, just for some background for people without mentioning specific details, you're working at an extremely high-paying sales job, you're doing really well, but you're starting to notice some things that maybe you need to start looking. So going from, success and where you could literally coast and almost do nothing and still bring in pretty good money, to where if you worked hard, you could make exceptional money, to then everything has to do with your own work and effort, and knowing that it's going to take a little bit of time to building up from zero. That's just something that was challenging because I have grown accustomed to, and this is what happens. I'm sure most sales reps can relate, is you grow accustomed to a certain lifestyle and luxury because you earned it. You know, you worked harder than other people, you worked better, you worked smarter, you made good money, and you make your own schedule because you're working from home, and you can enjoy certain things. And that's something that I think a lot of people struggle with, but I know I did. Like having that humility to be like, okay, well, we might have to tone it down. Can't do uh, 3 vacations a year, or can't do stuff like being able to accept whatever it is. And I'm sure it's not going to be that extreme, but being able to take a step back and realize that your lifestyle is going to change a little bit temporarily, but you're building something, a legacy. That part was challenging. And naturally, what comes with it is, it was fun living the message that I preach, which is, don't care what people think, but it takes a lot of guts, especially when people have grown accustomed to view you as a certain way, or maybe they don't know you at all, and then you come out and do this. And it's like putting yourself open to the public eye for scrutiny is exciting. I mean, I know there's also a lot of problems that come with that, but it's cool to do that. So those are I would say the challenges mostly, and just taking that risk was exciting. But
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything that you said. It's definitely a challenge to just leave, you know, your steady job and just branch off and just start something completely from scratch. And I know that you had done like a lot of legwork in the background, and you kind of already knew where we were going to go with this, or kind of the ideas behind it, and you had a bunch of ideas and all that stuff, but there wasn't anything built other than that. And definitely the just building up to where we want to be, that's kind of been a challenge, I would say. And it will take some time, but I'm confident that we'll get to where we need to be, because the message is so infectious and so many people need to hear it. And we just hope that more people continue to share our message, because there really are so many people that you've just random people that you've talked to that have needed to hear it. So we just hope that everyone continues to share that, so we can continue to grow and get our message out there to anyone that needs to hear it.
yep. Otherwise, I'm going to put on my sales hat and start pitching all of you guys and heart the pressure close, like not let people leave, just like a timeshare. Kidnap you guys until you follow, like, subscribe. No, just kidding. That's not the point of it. But I'm glad you shared.
But if we have to, then we will. So we're coming for you.
Well, I love that you shared that piece because it was super. I mean, for shout out again for our YouTube series, the daily check-in. Make sure you watch that. It's literally our vlog documenting the journey. It's pretty much every day. There's some days that are missed, and I might record 1 or 2 in one day instead. But it's really just what the good things happen that day, what bad things happen, what did we learn, what did we not realize, and just rewatching it. I mean, I don't think you've seen all of them yet,
No.
because I've recorded quite a few recently, but just re-listening and watching them, I'm like, oh my goodness, we thought we were gonna launch way before, and that the website was gonna be so easy, and all of these pieces.
It was though, wasn't it?
Oh my goodness.
It was so easy that I started it and then ended up passing it off to him to actually build it, because it was a little more of a project than I was anticipating.
Seriously, but it's cool to see that and learning new skills. I mean, I'm so passionate about it, but I feel like everyone should put themselves in a position where they should try to learn something new. Ideally, it should be for something that they have always been interested in and they've never tried, or something that they could apply to their work, a new skill set, a new approach, just because it'll drastically improve your life if you do that. But I mean, it could be, hey, I've always wanted to read this type of book, like a poetry book, and you've never done it, and just do it out loud. Like maybe go to a bar or so, I don't know, and just read poetry out loud. And the reason why is because if you start doing these things and practicing these skills, then you have to learn so many new things. It's crazy how much you grow, and it builds confidence, it builds validation to yourself. And I'm just like listening to other podcasts or watching YouTube series or reading comments now, people are asking about like audio equipment, how to record, how to change, like how to create a noise gate for anyone who knows even what that is, so that it blocks like the other echoes and other noise around. I mean, all these things that I had literally no idea about. It was like talking Chinese to me. And now we could talk about it. And
Yep.
that's pretty cool.
Yep. Well, I remember when we were looking into all the equipment and we were looking at those comments and those reviews and all that stuff. So it definitely is super valuable information that is in that series for anyone wanting to start a business or just learn about podcasting.
Seriously. I mean, for anyone else who's tuning in, appreciate you guys. We're just doing live Q&A right now, having conversation, having coffee. But it's been super fascinating learning about the podcasting world. And really, we are greater than just a podcast. We are going more of the media approach, almost like a media agency. We really just want to share a message in all forms, written, audio, video. I mean, this series was actually also supposed to be on the Clubhouse app. It will be starting next week. I haven't done enough of my due diligence to get that going, but if you guys haven't heard of it, it's basically an iPhone only. I believe Android is coming soon, if not already, where you can't see video, you only hear audio, and then there's like these private rooms where people can chat. And it's popular, it's trending, and we are looking just to increase our exposure, get the message out there. So again, if you guys can share anything that resonates with you, I only want you to do it if you really do feel like it's been helpful, because that's the goal. Like if a piece we put out doesn't really hit the right note, then I'd rather have that one sink. But the ones that people love and appreciate, I want that one to go up, and then it's going to be passed around the world. We're looking to create some legacy here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are.
So we have another comment over here. Ongoing personal development is basically a gift to yourself. So I agree that it can be valuable both on a personal and professional level. So I agree. What up, Alejandro? Greetings, bro. Appreciate you tuning in. I know it's hard, especially if some of you guys are at work, so I appreciate you sneaking. And if your boss calls you out or catches you, just know that I can write you a slip, a little form, piece of paper that says, hey, they were watching Chaminger. They were literally doing professional self-development, and it will pay off dividends, boss. So, yeah, you can just refer them to me, and I'll talk to them. I'll give them a good talking.
We'll just add that to our list of services that we provide.
If you ever need to get out of work and call in sick, just refer your boss to Fabian and Stephanie. Stephanie, do you want to maybe comment on Alejandro's comment and share what you kind of think about that? Do you agree, disagree?
Oh, I 100% disagree. Everything that he is saying is not right. I mean, the developing your self for yourself is it's such a powerful statement, like self-improvement. Do you want to be better? Do you want to grow? Do you want to be the best version of yourself? Like, I don't know many people that can say no to that. You invest the time in developing yourself. It really is going to pay off in the long run.
Do you feel like it's a gift to yourself?
It really is. I 100% agree with that.
Sorry to put you in a spot, but why do you think, just briefly, why so many people don't do it then, if it's a gift?
Time. And it's not something that it's not like a physical gift to yourself. So like you want to buy something on Amazon, you get it in 2 days. It's like this great big reveal, like, oh my gosh, I just got something, even though I'm the one that ordered it for myself, but it's not like a physical thing. So I think it's a little more difficult for people to just come to the realization that it's still important.
I love that. It's basically instant gratification versus long term results.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does feel good to just order something on Amazon or Uber Eats or Grubhub now, and you just get it within like 40 minutes or a day or 2 days, and you can see it and you can play around with it right away. And it's like, well, becoming more self aware and building my self esteem and starting to ignore judgment.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing for a lot of different aspects of people's lives, like anything that can take time and is just more like slow growth is difficult.
Daunting.
Yeah.
Because you know how much goes into it. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I can just share really quick before I click on the next comment. I mean, we got a Peloton a little bit ago.
Yep.
What, 2 months ago, 3 months ago?
Yeah.
And it's been exciting. It's been a journey. Um, it was crazy to think because I always had some ups and downs and struggles with constantly being motivated to like go into the gym, and just the simple fact, anyone who knows me can relate to this. I'm like, oh, I have to drive to the gym. This is where Hung's like, yeah, I didn't even know you had a car for like a year. But it being able to have something like that in your own home is just a godsend for the motivation. You know, it's still a long journey, but I know you can relate even just today, this morning, but you see your progress, you see how much like output or calories or whatever or miles you rode and strength and the speed, and you compare yourself to a month ago, 2 months ago, and you're like, oh my, look at the progress. And every day you don't notice it, you don't see it, but then when you have like that check-in period, which is one of the things that I'm going to constantly be referencing throughout the Chaminger journey and the self-reflection process, is that check-in period you need to do, and maybe do like a 1 month challenge, like starting today, where am I going to be 1 month from now? But for me, that's been so motivating and satisfying to see that I've been making progress, and I know you have.
Yep. I mean, I was never the type of person to work out, so it was one of those things where it was so random how it ended up coming to be. Do you remember how that ended up happening?
The Peloton thing?
Yeah.
Briefly.
We got like an ad in the mail, and I had already heard about Peloton before, and as I said, I'd never been one to working out, but I had heard about it, so I looked into it a little bit, and then I brought it up to you, and I know that you have worked out way more recently than I had. So then I was like, okay, well, let's try it out, see what we think. And we've loved it. And it really has been so gratifying seeing our progression. And I mean, I think it was one of the first rides that we both took. We retook it, maybe like a month later, and just seeing the difference in how good we were just a month later was very gratifying. But again, it's one of those things that you're not going to see every day. You're not going to see a change from today to tomorrow. It is gradual, so sometimes it's hard to keep your motivation, but all good things
take time
and just stick in there, because the self-reflection journey and self-improvement journey it truly is a journey, and just stay with it and you'll see the improvements.
Thank you for sharing that. I love hearing that from you. I love that story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna check out this comment that we have down here, but then I want to share, and you can chime in whenever, about kind of the reason why I started Coffee Time and why coffee is so important to who I am as a person, which I think a lot of people wouldn't necessarily associate like a drink as part of their identity, but it's literally part of my identity. So let's see what Mom has to say. Agree with you. Even we are in retirement. We are open to new things. It's never too late. Many things I learned from you and your brother and sister, especially about technology. Well, I love that. It's cool to see, and I appreciate that. That means a lot. I think it's a struggle, and I want to hear what you think as well. But I think a lot of people have that internal conflict where they're like, "Ooh, I know more than these people," or "I cannot possibly learn more. Like I have a PhD and an MBA, and I took a LinkedIn certification, therefore I'm the best," you know? And all of a sudden, someone else comes in and starts sharing something, and they almost want to like plug their ears. Like it's not possible for them to know more or know something else. And I think that's a very self-defeating approach. I think having the humility to just be like, hey, you can learn from everyone and anyone. And I feel very blessed that we had a very open upbringing because of how we traveled to so many different countries. But like, I learned from people in Jamaica, and I learned from people in Guatemala, and I learned from people in Ecuador. But I also learned a lot from people in the United States and like talking to the doctors and stuff like that. And it's just crazy that you can really appreciate things from all areas, because they have different perspectives.
Yep. Well, I truly believe that everyone can always be learning, even if it's just a little bit, and it may be something that you're not interested in or something that you won't necessarily use in your everyday life, but you can always be learning something. And I think it's great for every single person to remember that. We have a hashtag always be improving ABI, but we have also come up with always be learning as well, ABL, because that's so important for every single person. Because if you're not learning, are you, you know,
You growing or you
exactly,
dying?
exactly,
Withering away like flowers.
exactly. So, regardless of whether or not our message resonates with you or it's something that you want to learn about, we feel as though always be learning and always be improving is important for every single person, no matter your age, demographic, or your where you live or what your circumstances are. You can always be doing those things.
I love that you say that. It's true. And I'm curious to know how you guys feel about that. Like, we talk about always be learning, always be improving. When you hear something like that, does it even like penetrate your brain, go through one ear and one out another, or does it stay? And the reason why I ask that is because I feel like a lot of people hear like these motivational things, or, oh, you need to change your perspective, you need to change your mindset. But then they get motivated for like a day, maybe an hour. Some people probably only 5 minutes, the duration of the video, and then they lose it. And I feel like it's almost because people feel like it's this insurmountable task. And I want to hear if like anyone even just hear it right now. Like, when someone says to you, "Oh, you need to always be learning," does that you kind of just like, yeah, that's what everyone says, or do you actually take it to heart? And if you guys do have other questions, if you just tuned in, please, we're just doing right now a live Q&A, so question and answer. Anything that interests you about Chaminger, about us, maybe you have a question about something that's bugging you, and this is a safe community. It's right now we're still in the growth phase, so not the entire world isn't necessarily going to see it yet, but now's the time to share. And please feel free. I mean, at the end of the day, being vulnerable and honest and almost like letting out that poison that's like within you is something that I believe in so passionately. It really is liberating for your growth. But I think it's time to share the story about the coffee.
Yes.
Well, obviously, like we were saying before, this is live coffee time with us, with the Chamingers. Sometimes it'll be both of us, sometimes it'll just be me. And then when I want to take a vacation, I'm going to make Stephanie hold down the fort. But as most of you guys are probably aware, and if not, you're going to hear it here, I'm half Mexican, half German. Born in Seattle, fortunately, because my dad was stationed there because he was a Mexican diplomat, which meant that I had the opportunity, literally the gift of a lifetime, to instantly claim American citizenship, which just opened up so many doors and opportunities. And it's something that I didn't really grow to appreciate until I was slightly older. But being able to have that, not work for it or do like a long immigration process, was life changing. And it really does give you so many opportunities. But let's talk about my German heritage. So in Germany, growing up, we would visit my family that lived there. My family lived in a small village town. So what do I mean by that? Picture a farm town, maybe a little more upscale than some of your rural areas in the United States, but uh, pretty desolate or isolated. Sorry, not desolate. And the people there are very traditional. They do their own things. They don't really go far and wide. So there's not a lot to do there other than spend time with family and friends that live there. So we would go there pretty much every other summer growing up to make sure that the three kids had an opportunity to visit their grandparents in Germany and the family there. So what that meant was they lived very differently than us. Obviously, it's a small town, village, no tourists, no foreigners. So whenever we would come, we would be the celebrities. They're like, "Oh my God, the kids from America!" And everyone would be knocking on the doors and ringing doorbells and bringing candy and chocolates and trying to impress to kind of gain um, good word and be impressionable. For everyone else, their neighbors had to look good. I got the new visitors chocolate. What did you get them? Oh, I got them a new scooter. It's like it was kind of cool to feel like a celebrity when you were already a kid. But one of the things that always threw me
I
off.
see that never went away for
Oh
you.
no! Humble, humble, humble. One of the things that always threw me off was the way they would eat, and they would have breakfast really early, like 6 a.m. and a lot of bread, delicious, but a lot of bread. German bread is so good. Then they would have their main dinner around noon, which was great. But if your kids, you stayed up maybe a little later, you wake up late, and all of a sudden it's like you just had your breakfast at 9 or 10, and then you're on vacation, and then you're having your dinner at like noon or 1, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so full, but it's so good, I gotta eat. And plus, you can't disappoint your grandma. And then this is where it comes to coffee time was between usually 2, but they bumped it up a little bit because us kids were we always woke up late. So we were looking kind of about 2:30 to 3:30. And this would be a daily thing. Every day at that time we would have coffee. And as a kid, you don't really like coffee necessarily, but it was an opportunity to sit down with the whole family. Like everyone would sit down. Like, doesn't matter what you were doing, you would get called to have coffee. As kids, we had like hot chocolate maybe instead, but having a 1 hour period where you have a cup of coffee or more, and you'd have like some kind of dessert, like maybe a fresh cake with strawberries that were just freshly picked from the garden or stuff like that. It was absolutely delicious, and it was such a unique experience because even if we weren't talking a lot, we got to listen a lot and we got to interact with our family. And it really was like, hey, disconnect from everything else right now. It's just let's chat, let's have a conversation over coffee. And it being a daily thing was very cool to me. And like, I liked it. I like being able to interact. I like people joking around with each other, laughing at each other. It was one of the most important things to me. And over time, I grew to like coffee, and especially after I entered in the sales world, I needed coffee. Well, and also finishing university, but it was a lifesaver to be able to have coffee. And it really started changing my approach to. I realized that I'm an alien that doesn't need like an activity or something to have a conversation with people. So I could just, if we bumped into each other on the street, I'm like, oh, let's just sit down and let's catch up. But a lot of people are like, oh, well, let's have a beer or let's have a coffee or let's go to the butterfly pavilion park and let's walk around and talk. Like people need usually some kind of activity to chat with someone, like to make it not awkward. So that's kind of where this is coming from. For me, I remember even when I was like early 20s and everyone wanted to just go out drinking or partying. And I'm like, well, let's just go have like a little lunch and just chat. And they're like, you don't want to do something? I'm like, no. Or instead of going to the club, oh, well, let's go to the German beer place and just grab a beer and chat. And it's kind of like this mindset change for a lot of people. Like, oh, we can just have good conversation. I mean, if you cut out the small talk and have genuine, honest, authentic conversations with people. Everyone loved it that I did it with. It's just it wasn't something they were used to, and it's something that I think it really came from my time in Germany, where we would have like that hour and a half of pure coffee, uninterrupted conversation, and that's kind of the story. And I want to have that opportunity to do it with you guys, and obviously with you. I mean, we do it all the time.
Yep. Well, I love that about European culture. The just their first of all their love for coffee, and second of all, I mean I know that it's really big with the French as well, where they'll just in the middle of the day they'll take a really long lunch and they'll just hang out and chat for like 2 hours just in the middle of the day, and it's a really good opportunity to just you know step away from your busy everyday life and just relax and spend some time with the people that you care about. So we're excited to have you guys with us and experience our coffee chat.
Yep. Let's see. We got another comment. Guys, I haven't seen enough questions asked. I mean, come on. We're like the great question marks right now. It's an opportunity for you to throw a dart. Just don't get the heart, okay? Coffee time in Germany goes usually between. Oh no! Edit the live stream. Edit the live stream. Just kidding, Mom. Between 3 and 5 p.m. And you're right. It's usually used for meeting friends or family. I'm like talking about it so passionately. Well, here's another lesson for everyone. And I would invite people who, especially people who might want to have these conversations with their friends. They want to go away from this surface level fakeness, and everyone is tiptoeing around real conversations and getting to know each other. If you're looking for some advice for like being able to talk more freely and be more social, I would love to share it. But one of the biggest things I can say is, talk with conviction. Like, I'm telling this story, I'm just like, I 100% believe it. Like, that's the best part. Like, I believed every word that I was saying. And then my mom comes out here and it's like, just kidding.
Actually,
I love it though.
well, the 2 o'clock coffee time is the Chaminger coffee time.
Yeah.
And the German coffee time is between 3 and 5.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Maybe down the road, if we get a lot of feedback that people want it a little later, we can bump it up. So actually, perfect time. Let us know, guys, if this was a little too early or you feel like it should be a little later. I would love to hear the feedback. I know it's during the week, so it's a little harder to get a lot of people. But remember, we can always just talk to your boss if you need us to. So.
Yep.
But I feel like it's kind of the point where, especially if you're like working, you kind of have like this dip in productivity. You're kind of feeling sleepy. You maybe had lunch and now like the afternoon coma, sorry, is going to hit you and you're like pass out. You're like, oh. So I feel like it's
The food coma.
Yeah. But I'm glad that, Mom, you can validate that it was such a cool opportunity to meet friends. I'm glad that you showed it to us, because I feel like a lot of families in other cultures especially would have just been like, the kids don't need to be here. It almost would have been like, let them play outside. We can have our adult coffee time,
Yep.
So it was really cool to be able to experience that with them.
I like that you guys were part of the adult conversation as well, because I know that a lot of families, they try to separate the adults from the kids, and it's like, oh, the kids can do their own thing and then the adults will have their time to have their conversation. So that's kind of cool that you were invited to the adult table for that.
Thinking about it, maybe that's why I always felt almost more drawn to talking to older people than people my age. I mean, I know hanging around my siblings that didn't help, because I got a lot of getting random phone calls. I got a lot of time with people spent a lot of time with people that were 30 years older than me. But talking to your aunts, your uncles, your grandma, and then obviously because of my dad's work, we hosted more events and we went to other like diplomatic parties and networking events. So the entire time we're around more of an adult group. So it was always so interesting to hear from them. And I don't know. I think always from a young age, I just was always listening and paying attention. Like I might not have been the most vocal back then, but I was listening and I was
You're
watching.
the silent killer.
Going for the throat.
By the way, if you guys hear a snoring sound in the background, that would be our dog Cornelius. He is in the room, and I know sometimes the microphone picks it up. So if you hear that, that's what that is. It actually is snoring, and it's not either of us.
There it is. Any chance you make a 15-minute podcast on Spotify? I mean, what do you think before I answer? What are your thoughts?
I think that anything and everything is a possibility. Curious why you're saying 15. Is that your commute to work, or is that just a little more palatable than a 30, 45-minute episode? Because we're trying to keep the episodes right around between that range. But if there's a need and a want for 15-minute episodes, absolutely.
Business idea. I I think that I'm always open to things. And are you saying that this is an idea that you'd want to collaborate with us? But I think it's a good idea for one reason. And I mean, there was even a lot more. Like, we already pumped out a lot of stuff, and obviously it's the first week of the live streams, but it was making it manageable, because I know when I was talking to Stephanie about this, all these things, it's like, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna, and one we still haven't released. It's most likely next Wednesday if things go according to plan, and Hung will have to talk after this. I'm looking to do, or we're looking to do, sorry, we're looking to do what we call social wisdom, and that's going to be our Wednesday show, where we actually interview guests. We interview people that are, and this doesn't have to be like someone that's super successful, rich, happy, accomplished. You could be starting your journey, but we're looking for people that have a story to tell. And by story, I mean, let's say you always struggled in high school with your weight and how you viewed yourself, but you're always thin. How did you, maybe you overcame that thought and that, like, almost like anxiety and insecurity by the time you were out of college? What did you do to accomplish that? And do you feel like it completely changed your life or significantly impacted your life? If so, that's what we're looking for. Why? Because yes, I speak with conviction. Yes, Stephanie has a lot of stories to share. Yes, I have a lot of stories to share. And it's our perspective. And we're talking about things that we've done and we want to share because we feel like it's repeatable and it can work to help you accomplish these things. But what if it doesn't resonate with you? And what if the message from Hung or my brother or my sister or my friends or some random guest or random interviewee actually resonates with that person? That's what we're looking for, is to increase the amount of exposure and also just the viewpoints, because everyone has a different story to tell and all of it is relevant. You don't need to be the most successful person in the world in your own eyes, whatever. I'm sure there's something that you've done in your life, in your past, that really, really changed the way you live every day. And that's what we're looking to share, because I think those stories are so powerful. For me, it was undergoing this journey. Like, that completely changed so much for me and opened up so many opportunities and just made me so much happier. And that's why I'm sharing it. But maybe for you, like I said, it was overcoming that weight issue. So that's kind of where we're looking for that piece. Is there anything else you wanted to add about social wisdom?
No, I think that you summed it up perfectly. We're looking for anyone that has, just like you said, a story that of just overcoming whatever issues they had, and it could truly be like a huge success story. It could be something on a smaller scale, but that's kind of the demographic that we're looking for, because everyone's story is going to be different, and your one story could resonate with so many people, and so many people may need to hear that viewpoint and how you overcame whatever it was.
I love it. I feel like we didn't really answer the question. Got it. Well, my personal thoughts are interesting. Just going for the dramatic effect. My personal thoughts on a shorter one is, I think there is a market for it. So maybe we maybe have like a shorter, almost like discussion with a random person. I'm not sure yet, and we keep it short and sweet, and it's like one brief story, or maybe we just do like a quick story time and we just share one story and like cut it off there, 10 minutes, something a lot more digest or manageable, a smaller chunk. I don't know. What are your
Yep.
thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that is definitely possible. I don't know who's going to the gym for 15 minutes hung, but apparently that's what you need. So we can deliver. No, but I think that's a great idea because my initial idea behind us doing 30 to maybe 45-minute episodes is my what I had in mind was commute because I mean, here in the Colorado area, most of the time people are having to commute to get to work. And normally that commute is about 30 minutes. Some people could be an hour. So, and when I was commuting, it was about 30 minutes. So I would listen to a podcast and sometimes I would have to like cut it off and go to work. And then on my way back, I would continue listening. And then it's like you're in between episodes during your drive because the episode was 45 minutes. Anyway, so I was just, that's what I had in mind, the commute aspect for that, for those 30, 45-minute episodes. But we can definitely look into doing some shorter ones, like a shorter series or something like that as well. I think that's a great suggestion.
It's gonna be our premium one. Oh, you want it short and sweet? You want us to do the summary for you? Well, but I love it. I love the ideas and I love the stuff. And honestly, we are always looking to collaborate with pretty much anyone and everyone. And again, it's because everyone has a message and a story to tell. And if you have an idea or you want to work with us and you want to help us grow not only our brand and our exposure, but yours as well, because it's a two-way street. We promote together, we work together. So let us know. Hit us up. We reply, especially right now. This is for the people watching right now. I just want to put something in perspective. Like when a business and a brand are just beginning, it's an opportunity to get in there and leave your mark and influence. So for example, when Amazon was first starting, the people that were in like the founders, I'm not sure all of them who they were, but like whispering in each other's ears, those people had influence. They had say. They might not have actually done everything that was recommended to them or suggested to them, but they implemented things that started from that, So if you guys have a great suggestion, if you want to work with us, if you want to provide something for us, we are all ears because this is the beginning of the journey. We're not an established corporation that refuses to change even though they know they should. So we're adaptable.
Yes,
So
we are.
that's my takeaway there. Let's see. We got another comment. Gabby, when I was younger, adult conversations were always so interesting, especially when grandmas would talk about their stories or situation. I like that.
Yep.
I like that. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Just hearing, especially when you're younger, just hearing not only the perspective of older people, but also just really hearing the stories. And sometimes that's when you hear the good stuff, like you hear about how your grandma met your grandpa and just all those little things that wouldn't normally come up in daily life.
Keep it PG. Keep it PG. Grandma's going crazy.
But yes, I agree. It's such a great time to be able to hear all that stuff from all of your family members and maybe hear those stories that you wouldn't normally hear.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's crazy how I think most children would agree with that statement, right? I mean, you agreed, I agree. Like, it's super interesting to hear, but there's almost like, oh, you're not ready for it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, yes, there's something to be said about being like protected and all this stuff, but I also feel like, especially recently right now, it's getting really difficult with technology. Like, it's such a untamed beast that I'm so glad that, I wasn't raising kids when technology and the internet and all this stuff was first coming out. Because, like, what do? Like, seriously, like, where do you even begin?
Yep.
But so I commend all parents and families that had to deal with that. But I feel like it's okay to share some things. Obviously, you might, you can use references to like tiptoe around certain things that you might not want them to necessarily know right away. But I I think it's valuable to learn from them, and it was. I mean, to be fair though, it kind of ruined um, hanging out with people my age because this is so bad. But like, I would just get bored. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, guys, like this. There's so much more to life than just running around and playing tag. And I'm like 12 years old, or whatever. I don't know. It's just an example. It's like, come on, guys, let's talk about like politics. Like, what do you think about Mexican politics and stuff like this? And they're like, yeah, that's boring. So
Well, I think that's also probably a big reason why the adults wouldn't allow the kids at the adult table, because they figured that the kids would just find the topics and conversation boring. So then they would probably just get fidgety and start being annoying. So, I mean, that probably does happen as well.
yeah.
But I like the idea of the kids being invited to the adult table for adult conversation. That's also very valuable. So
Yeah. Um. Hola, papá. Saludos. That's where you say murciélago vampiro.
Antrapado sin salida.
I love that you're learning Spanish. All right. What else did Hung say? I have some stories to share for sure. I'm gonna invite you on right now. Can you talk? He's like, no, not now. I need to prepare. I've actually not tried the inviting a guest on, so I wonder how it would work. This is just a test, guys, and probably should have done this another time, but I think it's a perfect situation. You can keep chatting about anything.
About anything. Oh, just so everyone knows. So I do know that when we were talking to your parents the other day, we said that it was Murphy's birthday the other day, but apparently it's today, not the other day. So happy birthday, Murphy. He is currently in his crate, so that he doesn't annoy all of you with his random barks, but he is 4 years old today.
Hung, did you get that? And happy birthday.
He had some ice cream today, so he's happy.
What's up, ice cream? Never need to prepare. Well, I don't know if Hung is actually going to join or how this works. I'll definitely figure it out more another time. You should, though. Try it out, man. One of the things that I found super interesting was we have so many stories to share about where I met him and where I first mentored him was at the Wyndham timeshare sales job. And that job alone, we could literally do a podcast just about that job. I mean, you've heard some of them.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I can I can relate with war stories for sure from jobs. So
Really quick, I just thought about something.
oh my.
Well, since we're talking about like war stories, I mean, I know we had the idea of maybe sharing the truths behind certain jobs and industries, because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, salespeople. They are all liars, con artists, snake oil salespeople that try to scam you, and they don't care about your business or your personal needs. They're just trying to get profit or commission. And while there's many of them that are like that, there can be more to it. And I feel like being able to share the truth behind sales and actually what it goes down. Because I mean, I know when you met me, you're like, whoa, that's how the salesman does? That's how they work? Well, this sales. And I know that you've worked in other industries as well that you can share background to. And curious, maybe we do like the shorter segment about that. It's like, hey, we just share like stories about like the professional world and just like boom, bam, beam, quick and done.
Yep. Professional paper route stories.
I mean, you probably saw a lot. You're like, ooh, there goes the pool boy again inside the house.
Oh my.
Just kidding.
Only a couple times.
Yeah. But I think it would be really interesting to talk about sales war stories for sure as well. And Hung, you should join tomorrow for on the happy hour at 4 p.m. and be part of it. Like I'll invite you in, and then they'll have just make sure you have like a webcam or something, or audio's fine too, and we can share some sales war stories on the live stream. I think there's a lot to be said about that because
Yeah.
I mean, if I ask most of you guys right now, like, do you really know what a salesperson does, especially one who sells like business to business or like what timeshare marketing sales is? What would you guys say? I mean, did you have any idea?
No, I had zero idea. And actually, when we went to Mexico, we
Oh God, yep.
we were targeted at the airport, and I didn't know until like very far on in the conversation that that is what was happening. But you pretty much knew right away, and you're like, "Oh no, I got bamboozled."
Yeah. Well, I'll just share some background to it. Although, do you want to share it?
Nope, you go.
We'd arrived in Cancun, and we had already pre-ordered transportation just because I don't know if any of you guys gone there, but in general in Mexico, there's like this culture of hustle, like I'm sure in a lot of other foreign countries as well. It's all about the tourism. It's all about getting that tip. So we arrive and we didn't know where the transportation was. Like, was it inside or not? Because Stephanie had done the booking. She's all about preparing beforehand. And that's a good thing to do because you don't want to be skamazzled by some people there because you can't compare prices or anything like that. So this lady comes up to us like, oh, because to be fair, we opened up like our phones and emails to look like where the email was because it gave you instructions on where to go to find your bus. So then instantly it was like, oh, Target, they need help with something. And they see, us walking together. They're like, perfect. These guys are 100% the demographic that we need. And I wasn't even thinking. And she was like, well, what do you need help with? And I'm like, oh, we're looking for a transportation. She's like, oh, which one? I can have someone find them for you. And I'm like, first of all, I mean, that's Mexico for you. They bait you. They do bait and switch and they don't care. So I was like expecting them to tell me right away just where the taxi thing was that we had hired, but they didn't eventually. But
Yep.
It's just funny that, that was a bait and switch there. And then two, she asked the question that really threw me off, but I was like just excited to be in Mexico again and traveling during the coronavirus. And like, so either one of you like at least like 30 or so? And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I mean, yeah, but what? So then they take us somewhere and I'm like, oh no. This guy pulls out the map and I'm like, oh God, this is Wyndham all over again. And starts like drawing the map like to where we go to find our taxi transportation and like what they look like. And then starts asking questions like, how long are you going to be here?
Where are you staying?
What are you celebrating? What are you into? I'm like, no, we're getting qualified. And I'm like, it's over. I knew right away then, like the moment we brought over to him and he opened up the map, I'm like, oh, hello, timeshare.
Yep.
I was just waiting to see and how long it was going to be, but I wanted to mess with them more, but also we didn't have the time that I didn't want to spend any time doing it. So, but it was crazy that we ended up getting a light pitch there. And I'm like, sorry, man. I'm like, dude, I do this. I did this. I know exactly what's happening. I know exactly what's doing. And unless you can cover my entire like 4 or 5 night stay, I ain't going on anything. And they can give so many gifts compared to what we could. I'm like, wow, their budget is so much higher than what we had. So anyway, times are fascinating. And then it happened again at the resort.
Yes.
Remember?
Yep. Twice in one trip.
And then remember the line that he said to me when I was like, oh man, because then I would talk to them in Spanish since I can speak Spanish because they were pitching us in English. I could talk to them in Spanish and be like, oye amigo, you sé exactamente qué es esto. So basically like, hey man, I know exactly what's going on. I used to work in this. And he's like, oh, it's not timeshare, it's a vacation club. Anyway, that's the story there. And it's just, I think it's so fascinating that the more you experience different things and you learn about the world and you see so many avenues, it's like, oh, whoa, That's what's happening. And if I had never worked in it, I would have been like, we probably would have still said no, but we would have listened till the end, you know?
Yep.
And I mean, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I know that there are just so many stories that you can share about your sales stuff, and I have so many stories that I can share about my experiences in the work that I've done too. So I think that would really be a cool segment to do. War stories of X business.
Yeah. Look at that. Hung's like, see, my idea is a genius. What do you guys think about that timeshare story? Anyone relate or have anything similar that happened to them? So like everyone's like, yes, I got kidnapped in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Oh my. Probably by your Uncle Victor.
Yes. That actually used to be one of my favorite lines to share to people. And it's like, everyone would be like, oh no, this is one of those timeshare things, isn't it? And I would be like, yeah, of course it is. But hey, look, let me guess. You had a bad experience. And like, yeah. And I'm like, let me guess. Was it in Puerto Vallarta or Cancun or Cabo or whatever? They're like, how did you know? And I'm like, was it in the Grand Mayan? They're like, how did you know? I was kidding. My Uncle Victor is really good at what he did, and it was such a different experience. I wish I could have done what he did. Where, let's say, an American couple would like us. We were at the resort. He would actually like have breakfast with them, hang out with them throughout the day, maybe meet them again later, invite them for like a dinner or maybe like a golf session with the husband, or take them out to a show, and like literally.
So it's much more like wining and dining them.
Yes, like it's full on experience rather than, oh hey, lock them in a room and you have an hour and a half to convince them and high pressure them.
Yep.
So I feel like that would be, I mean, I would have enjoyed that just because that's my specialty.
Yep.
But at the same time, yeah, I don't know if I'd rather spread a message like this than convince people to get a timeshare that they may or may not want.
Yep.
Well, I'm not seeing any comments popping in, so I wonder if we got a lot of extra sausage though.
Extra sausage?
My mom was asking if we gave Murphy extra sausage.
Oh. No, he needs to lose a few pounds, so we actually fed him less. No, he got ice cream. He got ice cream for his birthday. All the boys got ice cream.
Yep. Well, part of the thing that we're looking forward to sharing, continuous sharing, and like these coffee live streams, and tomorrow check out the happy hour, the live happy hour at 4 p.m. is we're definitely going to be looking for people to hop on and share things that they want to know more about, like for self-reflection and journaling. That's one of the topics that I want to really touch upon, because I just feel like not enough people do it. And I know that was a thing that we talked a lot about at the beginning when we first met, but it's almost like the easy way to do a check-in with yourself and really just spend some time thinking about what's actually happening in your life. Because I know that I necessarily didn't always do it in the past, but when I realized how many people just have never thought about why they do the things they do, I was kind of mind blown. Like, I truly thought, I mean, this is why you need to open your eyes to more perspectives. I truly thought that everyone thought about those stuff as much as I did. And then to talk to people, and they're like, yeah, no, I mean, I've never thought about it. And you're like, oh my, I've thought about it 20 times in one day. It's just like, oh my, like, it's almost like a big reveal, like the curtain is taken off from in front of you. It's like, oh wow, like so many people think differently and view things differently. You can't just assume. And for me, that's when I realized like a lot of people could gain a lot of value from journaling and, writing things that they're like, well, why did I feel that way? Or this happened. This was awesome. But also to write things about themselves, because it's almost like you're writing a new story. Like not everyone is an author and not everyone has the best writing skills, but I feel like you can write things about yourself that you want to believe or you want to become, and then you keep writing them every single day, and then you're working toward it, and then you're going to start believing it as you if you keep writing. Like if every single time that you were introduced, let's say we at the beginning of a live stream, or at the beginning of, let's say, a TED talk or a concert or whatever, right? Like Stephanie is now going to be coming out, and there was like this paragraph, this excerpt that described you. Soon enough, like you're probably going to start believing whatever it is in that, even if it necessarily wasn't the way you viewed yourself before. So
Yep. I completely agree, because the more that you introduce that into your like daily thinking, the more you're gonna be like, it's almost like I know this is a really bad example, but
no bad
it's
examples.
almost like when someone is being questioned for like committing a crime, and the police, they just like hound you and they keep like making this narrative, and it's like, I didn't do that, I didn't do that, but then they keep like saying that to you, so then you start to believe it as your reality. That's a really bad example, but that's literally what I just thought of. But it's just saying the same thing over and over again, and you'll eventually believe it. So
I don't think that was a bad example at all. No, hey, gorgeous. I thought that was great. You want to know why? Because it, and I think we're going to start winding down after this part, but it reminds me of, you know, obviously people like myself, and I'm sure it happened to you as well growing up. I know from what we've talked, but, some ways you might have been weird, or you might have been a little different than some other people, and might have not done things necessarily always the traditional way, and you might have, tried to develop your own story and taken some risks. So a lot of people just don't understand you in that case, and then they start judging you, or they start assuming, or they start gossiping about you, or they start talking about you, and then people start saying things, and then you, especially if you're not 100% confident, don't have like that self-esteem, that strength to like almost stand up for yourself and fend it off, you start hearing these things, mostly probably negative stuff, but it could be some positive things too, but they might not even be true. But then you start hearing them, and now they start floating in your head, and that's when things get really interesting, because you're like, ooh, people are influencing you and changing the way you are just because you're listening to them. And that's why there's going to be definitely uh, an episode down the road, or two, or many for sure, that we touch upon this. But it's why I always tell people you really need to audit your immediate circle, like who you are listening to, who you are spending so much time with, because it gets really interesting really fast when you separate yourself even just a short time from that, and then you're like, wow, I feel so much more confident right now in this social circle versus this one. Why is that? That's when I love that part. Like that's when things get really exciting for me. And when someone tells me that they've noticed a change, just like being around different people, I'm like,
told ya.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what's happening. We're not getting a lot more comments, so either we put people to sleep, or or people are just chilling. But it's been a great first live coffee stream, and I'm gonna type something here because I just want to make sure that's not the thing that's broken.
Yep.
Hola, Mexico.
Oh my.
That's kind of cool, actually. So, one of the things that I will say before we conclude here, and then you can add any closing thoughts, is I hope you guys enjoyed this. We would love for you to be on here and chat with us. And this is very conversational. This is very transparent, honest. Like, I guarantee you right now, if maybe weeks from now, a professional from certain corporations tunes in and watches this and like, oh my God, look at these guys. They didn't have everything perfect. That's because we're not insecure like you. Boom. But really, it's being your honest, transparent, real self is a game changer. Like, why wouldn't you guys want to see our vibe, our interactions as we learn it? This is literally the second live stream of Chaminger, but the first one, the live coffee thing. Like every time we're going to change, we're going to grow, we're going to adapt, we're going to add things to it. That is the truth. That is valuable. And because we're not so corporate, so robotic, people are going to resonate with it. It's a lot easier to connect with someone like this than if everyone is just suited up to the T, like speaking robotic corporate lingo that no one even understands and no one wants to do. It's like really take a step back and realize why do you have to present it in such a way? You know, like why are you so worried about not being you? That's the question I want everyone to leave with, and I want you to add any closing thoughts now.
Well, what came to mind was be you, be free, stay amazing.
I like that.
Yep. Me too.
I mean, it really is when you say pretty liberating to just be you.
It is. I implore all of you to just be yourselves. Always.
And if that means chugging coffees and chugging beers, do it because I'm all for it. Or if it means skipping through downtown on your way to work, do it. You know, like the people who think you're weird, they're weird. The people who think you're cool, they know they're amazing because they know what you're doing. Like you're just being you. You're being free. You're not letting other people shackle you to the point where you can't live your life. Like that's really the takeaway that I want everyone to leave here today. It's like, you know, come join this coffee, just chat. Like this is going to be conversation, and I hope more people can start viewing themselves that way and feeling free to just be who they are. Because once you cut out every person that makes you change who you are, you realize when I say cut out, I just have to say this because I don't want to scare anyone here. You don't have to take them out of your life. But if they can't support you, or if they can't cheer for you, or they can't let you be who you want to be or who you really are, then there needs to be an audit. Like they need to change how they treat you. And once they do, you're going to hang out with them again and you're going to be happy with them again and you guys are going to have a great time. And that's all I'm suggesting here because I know I feel like a lot of people can take that to the extreme where it's like, oh, you said I need to cut out everyone. So
Yep.
It's like, see ya, see ya, see ya, see ya, see ya, see ya. Like, no. But, I mean, do you have anything you want to share about that piece?
Yeah. I mean, what I have to say about that is just, do you. Not everyone's methods or what they need is going to be the same as what you need. So
I love that.
do you.
Do you? My dad shouting out Mexico's with us. And we had this bus driver in Mexico that literally was, I think I told you he was kind of insane. He was the one who's like, hello, Mexico. And that's all he would yell. And he didn't know English at all, but he would just yell that randomly. Now I'm realizing that I'm more like him than I thought. I'm just like yelling random stuff half the time. Hello, Patty. But yeah, he was a trip, but he did his own thing. So respect. Oh yeah, he couldn't pronounce the letter X. Like in Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
So he would just say T. So like my brother's name is Alejandro, so they would call him Alex. He would say, hola, Alex. He could not say it. And I would say, hey, could you... gosh, I was a meanie. Apparently. I was messing with him. Oh, no. But I would be like, hey, have you ever used a fax machine before? He's like, have I ever used a fax machine? And I'm like, oh, no. I mean, looking back, I'm like, I wish I was nicer to him in that regard, but everyone has their own challenges and stuff like that, but it just was such a unique thing. And I just respect him, like, now looking back. Like, he just was unapologetically himself,
Yeah.
right? And that's badass, to be honest.
Yeah.
Hilarious, but badass. So, and just my dad sharing the story reminded me of that. 'Cause that's what he was talking about. But it goes to show you that there's people of all shapes, sizes, flavors, smells, whatever. Like, we're all weirdos in our own way.
Yep.
But we're us, and that's what's up. So I think we're gonna conclude here.
Yep. I think that's
My
perfect
coffee's
time to-
finished.
Mine's almost finished.
Had to drink it before it gets cold. Because
Exactly.
You know what I do.
Yep.
Warming up 50 times otherwise. Well, does anyone have any last questions for us before we tune out or turn off for the day? Hope the doorbell doesn't ring.
Oh no. Well, we will be back here tomorrow for our happy hour live stream at 4 Mountain Time. So if you do have any questions, feel free to send us a message, email, or whatever, and we would be happy to answer those questions. You just got to tune in to hear the answer.
Yep.
But yeah, we hope to see you guys all tomorrow too.
Perfect. Well, quick call to actions. If you haven't already done so, please, please, please check out our website, chaminger.com. Follow us on all our social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, especially if you want to see the video podcasts and the daily vlog, which we're going to upload a new episode today. Make sure you check out Spotify, Apple, Google, or Amazon Music so that you can listen to our podcast while you're driving or exercising. Make sure you follow and subscribe there because that helps us. The more views, the better, so that we can grow even faster and continue sharing our message. We did release 2 episodes this week on Monday and Tuesday. Second episode of My 3 Cents and the third episode of Real Talk. So please check those out, guys. One is about keeping the mystery alive, and the second one is about finding your passion. Both topics that I'm very, very, very passionate about. Finding your passion. But look forward to that, guys, and we will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Chaminger out.